The fact that I'm sitting here right now in a jumper while the morning sun is blasting me in the face and I am comfortable, like there's such a freshness in the air when autumn hits, and I really come alive in this season. There's this air of transformation mixed with integration, and we're coming off the back of autumn equinox and like a sense of renewal. And that's really some of the key themes that we're taking into April, like astrology speaking, and with how the planets are shifting throughout this month. Really, like they're going to be some key themes of renewal, rebirth, transformations, and integrations. Let's get into it. If you are new here, hi, hello, I'm Brittany. I am an astrologer, also a clinical nutritionist and Pilates instructor, but sharing most astrology based content here on YouTube and across the other platforms as well, Instagram, TikTok, and Substack, which you will find down in the comment section below. Aries season has begun, which officially marks the beginning of the astrological new year. Obviously, with that comes this sense of fresh start and a fresh beginning. At the autumn equinox, we're now starting April with a full moon in Libra, so that opposing sister sign to Aries. So if Aries is that kind of first house ruler, thinks of the self initiator, it's the first out of the gate. Libra opposes that, and Libra wants balance and equality, and it wants to think in terms of partnership. With this full moon, a romantic flair to it. It is in the sign of Libra, which again rules that seventh house. That is the house of relationship. We think of like business partnerships and marriage. It talks about partnerships, like coming together and working in a partnership and thinking of the other, being considerate of the other players and not just thinking of the self, which is classic with kind of that Aries energy. And with a full moon, we are thinking of that opposition that runs along that axis between Libra and Aries. I think relationships have been quite a key theme of these past 2 weeks. We had a new moon in Pisces only just 2 weeks ago. Pisces is just a very dreamy, ethereal, romantic sign. And that was this new moon there in Pisces. And so I think the last 2 weeks we've really been thinking about connections and romance and love. Connection to self. If you are single, you're not thinking of a partnership right now, you're still included in this. But we've also had this Venus has entered Aries, and Chiron has been in Aries for some time. Chiron is that point of like our greatest wound, but also powerful point of healing for us. And so Venus has joined Chiron here, and so that can bring up maybe some core wounds and themes around where we may have some insecurities around ourselves and what we might have tried to keep hidden in relationships. I understand why we do that. It's like a protective way. Like we want to be loved and be accepted. That is kind of just like this primal imprint that we have within us to be accepted within community and connection. True intimacy comes an air of vulnerability, and to be completely vulnerable is to kind of share all parts of yourself, the shadows that maybe you want to try and keep concealed. Bringing them to light, like bringing all parts of yourself into a dynamic to be accepted, to be loved, and to be known. And so that's kind of been a key theme over the past 2 weeks. So that's coming. That's kind of starting off April. The following week, there may be some unexpected opportunities that can come our way. And that is because of this sextile between Mars and Uranus. So Mars is about action and impulse, movement. And Uranus is the kind of great awakener. And it likes to shake things up, and it can bring things around that are unexpected. Sextiles do require some level of action and engagement from us, that we have to participate within this transit. It can be activated, but it can be thought of like an offer coming your way that you have the power to accept or decline, right? So that choice is yours. Adding to this theme of like renewal and new beginnings being an Aries season, of course, we're going to have a new moon in Aries. New moons are the start of the lunar cycle, so it is the mark of a new beginning. So this can be thought of as like you personally, how you want to remake or rebrand yourself coming into this new year. This lunation is really energized by Mars, and it's meeting with Neptune, Saturn, and Chiron. Beautiful mix in here. It is a time of integration about what we've learned throughout our healing journey, what we've learned about ourselves, even coming off the back of that full moon in Libra where maybe we felt a little exposed, a little vulnerable. Relationships really do serve as a mirror. So I think a lot of us, while we are in a season of maybe being single and not looking to date or be in a relationship, you can feel pretty put together and like you've got things figured out. You really get to know yourself. I know I just had a season of celibacy where I was abstaining from any dating, any romantic connections, any pursuit of that, any talking stages, and just focused all of that energy onto myself, dating myself, getting to know myself, and figuring that out. I know I am in a relationship, so no longer going down that route, but it really makes you see how much of a mirror a relationship can be. This other person can reflect back to you these parts of yourself that you thought, damn, like I didn't know that was still there. The new moon now in Aries can really bring that energy back onto ourselves about, okay, like who am I wanting to show up as, and not to be strayed and misled by other influences that may be well meaning but ultimately aren't directing you to where you wish to go in this life and what you actually want for yourself. And again, integrating all parts of ourselves, including those shadows, the shadows that may have been brought to the forefront with that Libra full moon. Is a tense aspect to Jupiter that's still in Cancer here. So this can kind of amplify emotions at this time and make things feel bigger than they are. Then we have Taurus season begin. Taurus is such a different energy to Aries. Taurus is that traditional ruler of the second house. It really values stability, material things, the luxuries in life. And it's an earth sign. Venus ruled earth sign, so it's very sensual, very tactile. It also talks to self-worth. This can be time of the month where we are more intentional around grounding, honoring our senses and indulging in those. And Venus moves into Gemini around the 24th, and that can bring a sense of curiosity when it comes to matters of love and maybe even money, what we value, where we place our value. We may feel a little more flirtatious at this time, maybe a little more expressive, communicative. If you are single, maybe it's the time you want to start talking to more people. Maybe you're having a looking at dating. Maybe you feel excited to meet someone. If you're in a relationship, maybe you decide to start exploring new interests together. Gemini energy can get restless and bored easily. I'm speaking from experience as a Gemini sun. Towards the end of the month, we do have Uranus make its way back into the sign of Gemini. This is the mark of, it's a big turning point. We had a preview to this prior to its retrograde. Uranus is that planet of revolution and awakening. And when it moves into Gemini, Gemini is that sign of, it does talk about communications and how we send messages and how we stay connected. It also rules over technology, but also short-term travel. So Uranus is going to create change in a way that we never thought possible. Uranus thinks outside of the box. It is about expecting the unexpected. This is really going to cause shakeups around community connections, thoughts, and worldviews. So changes to how we engage with, how we stay connected, how we communicate. All Gemini themes are subject to change here. This transit is an invitation to break free from outdated patterns. Even seek connections with those we typically wouldn't have in our inner circle. So your Aquarius, Libra, and Gemini can be most positively impacted on this, but that does depend on your natal chart and natal energy. And mutable signs, which does include Gemini again, but with Pisces and Sagittarius and Virgo, can be challenged by this. So with Gemini, it's kind of like a depends on your chart, honestly. If you have been interested in learning more about astrology and how it personally applies to you, monthly reports are just general readings over like what the currents are doing over the course of the month, but how you can then interact with and work with the energy will come down to your own individual charts. If you've ever been curious to learn more and explore that, always book in a reading with myself. You'll get a video, audio, as well as your own personalized ebook. Astrology is like the current, like if you're out in the ocean swimming and you're trying to swim against the current, like you can still get somewhere, but it's difficult. Whereas if you went with the current and learned to work with that, like this is a much easier flow in life. And that's kind of what like understanding your own chart can do for you. With Uranus and Gemini, historically, we've seen advancements in technology in the sense of code breaking and radar technology. We've also had the first programmable electronic computer and the first general purpose digital computer were developed during this time. Radio broadcasting was expanded upon, and that became crucial during wartime. We wrap up April with most of our planets in fire or air signs, so this can promote bold intellectual exploration. So both Uranus and Venus enter Gemini at this point. And there's a sextile to Neptune, a trine to Pluto, so that can ignite creativity and transformations as we draw nearer to our Scorpio full moon, which does land early May. A month of transformations, integrations, rebirth. Hope you have a beautiful month, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye, love you.